Bold prediction time again tonight. What do you believe? Would you bet your own money on this? What do you believe? First up, this is bold. Buckeye rationalist of all people from Camp Pendleton, Colorado said, this year's Ohio State team will have the best statistical defense of the entire playoff era. I'm going to stop there. Just the entire playoff era. So that's since 2014. Georgia's the best. 2021 Georgia allowed 10.2 points per game. Last year's Michigan team, next best, 10.4 points per game. Would you believe it if I told you last year's Ohio State team was third best, 11.2 points per game, and it was viewed as a disappointment? Would you believe that? I think you would. At Oregon this year is the only time they'll face an offense that you would preseason call elite. Whatever the regular season brings is whatever it brings. But look at that schedule. Outside of that, you got Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall on the out of conference, and then it's Michigan State, it's Iowa, it's Nebraska, it's at Penn State, it's Purdue, it's Northwestern, it's Indiana, it's Michigan, at Oregon, October 12th. Does Oregon hang 38 on them, or is it a game played in the 20s? Because if it is, this could be very much in play. I think this is an 8 on the boldness scale. That crew they got up there could very well be the best statistical defense we've seen in the playoff era. So that's not that bold to me. I'm going to call it an 8. Next up, this was creative. From Terre Haute, Indiana, no team from the old SEC West will make it to the SEC championship game. We don't have divisions anymore, but we remember them semi-fondly. So Bama, LSU, Ole Miss, Auburn, A&M, these were all the teams of note this year that were in the SEC West. None of them are top 2 in the current FanDuel odds to win the SEC. So Bama's 3rd, Ole Miss is 4th, LSU's 5th, A&M is 6th. So Georgia, Texas are 1, 2. Then 3, 4, 5, 6 are from the Old West, and then Auburn's down there 7, 8, 9, 10, I believe. Georgia, Texas being 1, 2, yes, makes this pretty bold, but it doesn't make it overly bold because I don't know. I think it is pretty bold that even though number 1 and number 2, if they faced off, would make this come true. How often do we really see that? Like Bama, Ole Miss, LSU, A&M, one of them is going to have something to say about this, I think. So it's an 8.5 on the boldness scale. It's very creative. I liked it. It was good. Utah. What about this from Spring Lake, Michigan? Utah will make the national title game. Well, that's a 9.75. That is chalice quality. That is chalice of supremacy earning boldness of a prediction if this comes true. I was thinking about the best case. What's the best case for Utah? Clearly, they need to win the Big 12. That gets them a bye in the first round. And then they have a very favorable round 2 game, let's say. Even if all that happens, they still need to win 2 more games. Well, they need to win 1 more to get to the title game. And you're not going through any kind of layup in the semifinal. That's not happening. Maybe someone gets really hurt at a critical position en route to a win the week before, and they're a hobbled team and you face them. Maybe, but no one can predict that. So they've got the 16th best odds to win the whole thing. Cam Rising's back for his 19th year, good offensive line depth. They only face one top 25 odds team in the regular season. So there is a high likelihood they're in the conference title game, which means they're playing for a first-round bye. So I don't doubt Utah's going to be in the picture. But to win it all, yeah, he didn't just say make it. He actually said win it all. So even if you get the first-round bye, even if you get a favorable second-round matchup and get in the semifinal, you still got to win 2 more games. That's a 9.75 on the boldness scale. And lastly, this is so sad. This is the Sarah McLachlan special of predictions. Kyle from Cedar Falls, Iowa, said Iowa will have a top 80 offense this year. The fact that this is bold is mind-boggling. Last year, it was bad. Obviously, it was bad last year. So we're going yards per game. The reason we need to go yards per game here is because if we just go points per game, Iowa's defense is so good that they can actually skew things to make it look like the offense was better than it was. In 2023, they were last in all of FBS in yards per game, 234.6. That was 28 yards worse than the next worst team in college football. Western Michigan. So if we were asking, what does it take for Iowa to ascend from what they were last year to whatever 80th best in the country is? That would be where Western Michigan finished last year. Western Michigan, compared to Iowa's 234 per game, had 365 yards per game. They've got to be 130-ish yards better per game than they were last year. It's not happening. Offensive coordinator change, it's not happening. If it does, then you know what, Jesse? Bump it up 9.5. This is a 9.5 on the boldness scale. That's where we are right now. You're telling me they only have to have a top 80 offense to earn someone a chalice of supremacy. But yet that's where we are. In the words of Nick Saban, is this really what we want college football to be? I guess so. That concludes Bold Predictions.